Tianxian sect, Judgment Hall. Chu Chun, do you confess to your crime? Above the main seat, a fairy with a cool, clear countenance demanded in a deep voice. I raised my head in confusion. Master, what crime have I committed? Lu Bingxiu's face darkened at my words, and she once again glared at me, chastising. Rebellious disciple, are you still going to pretend to be ignorant when you know the truth? You fell into the demonic path, harmed fellow disciples, and stole the sect's supreme treasure. Do you truly believe that feigning ignorance will allow you to escape these facts? At her words, I stared at Lu Bingxiu, even more bewildered. Master, where did you hear these rumors from? Could there be a mistake? How could I possibly cultivate the demonic path, harm fellow disciples, and steal the sect's supreme treasure? Hearing my answer, Lu Bingxiu shook her head, a look of disappointment on her face. Rebellious disciple, it seems you won't give up until all hope is lost. Regarding this matter, your junior sister personally reported it and testified, saying she personally witnessed you using demonic methods to slay 2 senior disciple guards and abscond with the sect's supreme treasure. Can there still be any falsehood? At Lu Bingxiu's words, I visibly froze. Junior sister personally witnessed me falling into the demonic path, harming fellow disciples, stealing the sect's supreme treasure? Impossible. My junior sister would never report me, nor did I do any of these things. I explained to Lu Bingxiu with a resolute tone. My junior sister, Xinyu. I brought her back from among the beggars outside. When I first met her, the world was frozen in bitter cold. She was an orphan. I was once an orphan too. Because of the pity in my heart, I brought her back to Tianxian sect. I meticulously cared for her, nurturing her with great care. Her spiritual foundation was weak, so I constantly used spiritual energy day and night to warm and nourish her meridians. Her constitution was fragile, so I risked dangerous places many times to hunt for the blood of gentle spirit beasts to temper her body. Her talent was low, and I even exhausted my resources and connections to find all sorts of rare treasures for her. Just like that, I painstakingly cultivated her from a mortal with no aptitude into an accomplished prodigy of the Golden Core realm. It could be said that I raised her myself. Without me, she probably would have frozen to death in some forgotten corner long ago. I not only saved her life, but also bestowed upon her a new existence. I treated her so well. Not to mention, I didn't cultivate the demonic path or harm fellow disciples. Even if I had truly done so, she would never report me to outsiders after seeing it. At least, that's what I believed in my heart. So after hearing Master's words, I retorted with an unusually firm tone. Impossible. You didn't do it? Lu Bingxiu scoffed. Whether you did it or not is not for you or me to decide. The evidence will speak for itself. Since you remain stubbornly misguided, then summon the witness to confront you face to face. Soon, a woman with a graceful figure and transcendent aura entered, riding on a sword. Xinyu, tell us, what exactly happened last night regarding the murder of the Treasury Hall disciple and the theft of the sect's most precious treasure? Hearing Lu Bingxiu's words, Xinyu imperceptibly glanced at me, a fleeting look of shame flashing in her eyes. But she quickly recovered and spoke with a slight bow. Master, I personally witnessed yesterday's events. It was senior brother Chu Chun who did it. Xunyu's words were like a steel needle suddenly plunged into my chest. I stared at her, my face filled with disbelief. Just as I was about to say something, suddenly, at the main entrance, another 4 people with varied expressions entered. A burly middle-aged man, an elegant and dignified noblewoman, an aloof, immortal maiden, cold as ice, a young man with a faint smile always on his lips. It was none other than my father Chu Tianxiong, my mother Su Yungzi, my elder sister Chu Hongling, and my younger brother Chu Shang. As soon as Chu Hongling entered, she angrily shouted at me, Chu Chun, you ungrateful wretch. We brought you back to the sect, pampered you with good food and drink. So what have we ever done to wrong you, that you would descend into the demonic path? In the past, we could overlook your petty thievery, but now you actually dare to harm fellow disciples and steal the sect's most precious treasure. You are simply an ungrateful viper." Hearing such an unwarranted torrent of scolding and cursing, my face darkened. A dull ache spread through my heart. Originally, I was still guessing if junior sister Shinyu had been threatened, which is why she chose to frame me. But now, looking at my parents' indifferent faces, looking at my elder sister's undisguised look of disgust, looking at the faint, almost imperceptible sneer on Chu Sheng's lips, looking at Shun use a shamed gaze that dared not meet mine, I instantly understood everything. Just like the hundreds of slanders before, this time, too, no one was actually threatened. It was junior sister Shinyu who acted on her own initiative to tarnish my reputation. The purpose was to curry favor with Chu Sheng, the true young master who had returned. And my parents and elder sister were clearly aware of all this, yet still chose to favor Chu Sheng. I instantly felt incredibly heartbroken and immensely disappointed. I was an orphan from a young age, living by begging. One day, while begging, Chu Tianxiong and his wife, who are now my adoptive parents, found me. Their tone was gentle as they said they wanted to adopt me. I was puzzled, but seeing their attire, they didn't look like ordinary people. I understood that immense fortune had arrived. So, without much hesitation, I followed them back to the Tianxian sect. Only after living with them for a while did I learn that my adoptive father and mother were originally the sect master and an elder of the Tianxian sect. The reason they adopted me was because my appearance and age happened to resemble their child, who had been abducted by enemies. After all, I was a poignant reminder. Once I understood all this, I no longer felt any guilt, and thus enjoyed everything with a clear conscience. After all, it was a mutually beneficial arrangement. I stayed at Tianxian sect for 10 years, and life was smooth sailing. I had originally thought life would continue this way, but good times were short-lived. My adoptive parents' biological son, the true young master of Tianxian sect, Chu Sheng, returned. With the true young master's return, my status as a fake naturally plummeted. But I didn't care about this, nor did I harbor any resentment, because none of this ever truly belonged to me. Instead, I had been the cuckoo in a magpie's nest, enjoying his life for 10 years. Thus, I even felt a bit guilty towards him. So, when I faced him, I proactively showed weakness and tried to appease him. But Chu Sheng, for some reason, always believed I was feigning weakness as a tactic. Thus, he constantly singled me out, falsely accusing me of peeking at senior sister bathing and stealing junior sister's belly band. These accusations were utterly baseless and crude beyond measure. I easily found evidence to refute them, but to save his reputation, I only presented the evidence to Chu Tianxiong and his wife. I thought they would eventually do me justice, but to my surprise, they simply destroyed the evidence. "Chun'er, you've been wronged in this matter," they said. "But Shun'er, this child, is also afraid you'll steal our affection. After all, it's just a child's temperament. All right, we'll certainly speak to him, but this matter, Shun'er is returning to the sect for the first time. After all, if you clarify things, it will be bad for his reputation. Therefore, you should just admit it." Hearing these explanations, I was utterly dumbfounded. What do they mean clarifying would be bad for his reputation and asking me to admit it was my doing? It was precisely because I feared it would be bad for Chu Sheng's reputation that I approached them in private. All I asked for was to clarify that it wasn't my doing. There was no need to even state that Chu Sheng had deliberately slandered me. Was that so difficult? But in the end, to protect Chu Sheng's reputation, they actually expected me to take the blame? What? Doesn't my reputation matter? Although years of living here had made me feel a degree of gratitude towards this family, and some guilt towards Chu Sheng, this guilt shouldn't mean I had to bear groundless accusations. So I refused, and prepared to clarify the matter on my own. But unexpectedly, Mother Su Yungzi directly tore up the backup evidence. The witnesses who were originally going to testify for me also successively altered their testimonies on the day of the confrontation. And the victims adamantly claimed that I was the one who peeked, and I was the one who stole their dadu. It was obvious someone had, through strong-arm tactics, threats, or enticements made these people change their minds. And within the Tianxin sect, the one with such power, the answer was self-evident. I was truly heartbroken. Although an adopted child, I had, after all, been raised for 10 years. I thought there would be some affection, however little. At least in matters of right and wrong, they should be reasonable. But now, it was clearly not my fault, yet they wanted me to suffer such an injustice. This favoritism was simply suffocating. Actually, I have other ways to prove I didn't do it, like taking a heavenly Tao oath, or even a soul search. But there's no need anymore, because I'm afraid that if I keep trying to prove my innocence, my parents, sister, and everyone in the sect will think I'm being unreasonable. So, I voluntarily confessed. Consider it repayment for all these years of care. But I didn't expect that Chu Sheng, seeing how easily his slanders worked, became even bolder. He then slandered me again, claiming I stole other things. Stole magic artifacts, stole elixirs, stole spirit stones, and even stooped to petty thievery. Anyway, in the 2 months since he returned, the entire sect, according to him, has been thoroughly plundered by me. Yet, these were clearly very shallow slanders, but everyone in the sect believed them implicitly. At first, I even doubted their intelligence. Only later did I understand. The so-called truth or falsehood simply didn't matter. What they sought was merely to curry favor with Chu Sheng, the true young master. And Chu Sheng's actions weren't truly intended to slander me through this. Rather, they were a test of obedience for everyone in the sect, testing my reaction, testing the stance of these ordinary disciples, testing my parents' and sister's favoritism towards him. Now it seems the test was very successful. Now, they actually dare to slander me for falling into the demonic path, harming fellow disciples, and stealing the sect's most precious treasures. This isn't child's play anymore. They're trying to ruin me completely, aren't they? Chu Chun, speak up. Do you think pretending to be mute will let you off the hook? Chu Hongling's words snapped me out of my thoughts. I looked up, my gaze cold as I stared at her. What do you want me to say? What exactly is the truth of this matter? Don't you all know? Shouldn't you be the clearest on this? As I spoke, my gaze swept over the 5 of them. Chu Hongling, Chu Tianxiong, Su Yungzi, Chu Sheng, and Shun Yu. Sensing the sarcasm in my words and my unreserved, burning gaze, Shun Yu lowered her head, a hint of shame on her face. Chu Hongling's eyes darted away. The smile on Chu Sheng's lips also stiffened slightly. Only Chu Tianxiong and Su Yungzi remained composed, though a hint of doubt flickered in their eyes. Chin'er, what do you mean, we know the truth? Didn't your junior sister report you for all this? How would we know? But Chin'er, it's not your mother talking, but even if you're usually prone to petty pilfering, you mustn't be muddled when it comes to major matters of right and wrong. Your mother believes you wouldn't fall into the demonic path, but as an elder of discipline, everything relies on evidence. If this wasn't done by you, then you must provide evidence to prove your innocence. Hearing the words of my good mother, I turned to look at my father, who had remained silent until then. He waved his hand, his tone utterly indifferent. This one shares the same sentiment. Listening to their words, feeling their attitude, for some reason, I smiled. Of course, my heart had also grown cold. Perhaps my mother was right. They genuinely didn't know about this matter. But we've been together for so long, a full 10 years. Do they still not know what kind of person I am? Moreover, even if I was reported, shouldn't the burden of proof lie with the accuser? Yet now they're asking me to explain and prove my own innocence. Shun Yu slandered me without a shred of concrete evidence, relying purely on her words. Even disregarding all this, Chu Tianxiong became the sect master of a sect, and Su Yungzi became an elder of a hall. Could they really not see that this was all a frame-up and malicious slander? They could, of course, see it, but they didn't expose it. Instead, they still made me prove my own innocence, simply because the instigator behind this was their biological son. But does an adopted son deserve to suffer such injustice? What chilled me even more were my junior sister and the sect disciples who vehemently denounced me. To curry favor with this future, true young master, They didn't hesitate to betray, frame, and accuse me. Junior sister Shinyu, I raise her myself. As for these disciples who condemned me, who among them hadn't received my kindness over the past 10 years, their current actions were truly despicable. Why aren't you speaking? Are you speechless, brother? Seeing my silence, Chu Sheng spoke at the opportune moment. Triumphant glee flickered in his eyes. Why aren't you speaking? Are you speechless, brother? It was then that junior sister Shenyu also spoke. Senior brother, just admit it. Return the supreme treasure, abolish your demonic cultivation, and turn back from your misguided path. I believe Master and the sect leader will deal with you leniently. I paid no attention to the two of them. Instead, I turned to look at my good parents. Do you really want me to prove my own innocence? After 10 years together, even a dog would develop feelings. So, even now, I was still willing to give these people one last chance. As long as they chose to believe me, everything could still be salvaged. But the outcome, in the end, still disappointed me. Shinner, of course. If you don't prove your own innocence, how can you show you're not guilty? Hearing Su Yungzi's words and seeing Chu Tingxiang's indifferent expression, the last shred of affection I held for them vanished like smoke. Ha 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 ha. For some reason, I suddenly burst out laughing. Wicked disciple, what are you laughing at? Is cultivating the demonic path something glorious? How can you still laugh? You truly disappoint me too much. Wicked disciple, what are you laughing at? Is cultivating the demonic path something glorious? How can you still laugh? You truly disappoint me too much. Master Lu Bingxiu spoke, her voice laced with the frustration of seeing one fail to live up to expectations. Hearing this, I stopped my laughter. My gaze, indifferent, fell on her, then swept across everyone in the main hall. Didn't you all say I had fallen into the demonic path? That's right. I am a demonic cultivator. It was also I who killed the senior gate-guarding disciple. The sect's most precious treasure? I stole that too. My voice, word by word, was hoarse and deep. Everyone in the main hall was utterly shocked to hear me admit everything so directly, especially Chu Tianxiong and his wife. They knew very well in their hearts that I couldn't possibly be a demonic cultivator. The two gate-guarding disciples were also alive and well. As for the sect's ultimate treasure, the heavenly profound pearl, it wasn't even kept in the treasure vault. How could it have been stolen then? All of this was merely their own son, Chu Sheng's, false accusation. However, the reason they didn't expose the truth and still made me prove my innocence was, firstly, to save face for their own son. Secondly, they wanted to teach me a lesson because I had been very disobedient lately, even daring to defy their decision to make me take the fall for Chu Sheng. So they wanted to use this to make me suffer a bit. That was all there was to it. But what they never expected was that I would admit everything. A pang of guilt couldn't help but rise in their hearts. Chena, you. Su Yungzi's tone couldn't help but grow a little unnatural. Chu Tingxiang's perpetually indifferent expression also shifted. What? I admit it. Wasn't that what you expected? Who are you putting on this act for now? I laughed self-deprecatingly, then looked at these people. That's right, I did all of it. Hearing my admission, Chu Hongling was the first to snap back to reality. Well, so you really are a demonic cultivator. I knew I hadn't misjudged you. Guards quickly seized this beast for me. Watching her impatient eagerness, the scorn on my lips deepened. Just as I was about to speak, the law enforcement disciples who had been waiting there swarmed me, ready to kill. Most of the law enforcement disciples were at the golden core stage. The elder leading them was even at the peak of the nascent soul stage. As for me, though my talent was decent, I had only just entered the nascent soul stage. But I wasn't worried in the slightest, only because I wasn't from this world. Almost all transmigrators have their golden finger. I was no exception. I had a system. The slander becomes true system. As the name suggests, if someone slandered me, as long as I publicly admitted it, then no matter how outlandish the slander, it would come true. That's right, I did all of it. Hearing my admission, Chu Hongling was the first to snap back to reality. Well, so you really are a demonic cultivator. I knew I hadn't misjudged you. Guards, quickly seize this beast for me. Watching her impatient eagerness, the scorn on my lips deepened. Just as I was about to speak, the law enforcement disciples who had been waiting there swarmed me, ready to kill. Most of the law enforcement disciples were at the golden core stage. The elder leading them was even at the peak of the nascent soul stage. As for me, though my talent was decent, I had only just entered the nascent soul stage. But I wasn't worried in the slightest, only because I wasn't from this world. Almost all transmigrators have their golden finger. I was no exception. I had a system. The slander becomes true system. As the name suggests, if someone slandered me, as long as I publicly admitted it, then no matter how outlandish the slander, it would come true. It was just that when I had first transmigrated, I hadn't had time to fully understand it when Chu Tianxiong and his wife found me and said they wanted to adopt me as their son, as the adopted son of a sect master. After all, my treatment was still quite good. No one would slander me without cause, nor did anyone dare to casually defame me. Therefore, I had almost forgotten about this system. Until a few days ago, Chu Sheng slandered me, accusing me of stealing senior sister's undergarment. I reluctantly admitted it. Only then, seeing the red undergarment suddenly appear in my hand, did I remember. I also have a system. I hadn't paid it much mind originally. But now, this Chu Sheng, aggressively pressing, was simply bullying me beyond limits. These parents were utterly biased. This master was simply blind-eyed and dull-hearted. These fellow disciples, even my junior sister, were simply treacherous and ungrateful. So, I directly admitted it. Sure enough, the next moment, the system's voice resounded in my sea of consciousness. Ding! Host admits to falling into the demonic path. Congratulations to Host for obtaining divine-grade cultivation technique. Heaven-devouring demonic art. With the divine-grade cultivation technique's blessing, your immortal Tao nascent soul realm automatically transforms into the demonic Tao soul transformation realm. Ding! Host admits to murdering fellow disciples. 2 fellow disciples are detected as still alive. System rules automatically eliminate both individuals. Their souls have been automatically collected into the system space. Ding! Host admits to stealing the sect's supreme treasure. Congratulations to Host for obtaining Saint-grade treasured artifact, the Heavenly Profound Pearl. The Heavenly Profound Pearl has been automatically stored in the system space. Almost the very next moment, I felt my body suddenly infused with a mysterious and immense power, directly transforming the cultivation within me. Under the blessing of the heaven-devouring demonic art, I directly broke through my original shackles and reached the soul transformation realm. Feeling the terrifying, immense power within my body, I looked at the dozens of law enforcement hall disciples who were surrounding and attacking me. An instant feeling came over me. A contemptuous smile played on my lips as I coldly uttered 2 words. Ants. As the words fell, I raised my foot and stomped heavily on the ground. A terrifying aura burst forth, and those disciples who had surrounded me were all sent flying. Even the sturdy floor, forged from immortal gold, was stomped into a massive pit by me. Streams of demonic energy gurgled and overflowed from my body. Witnessing this sudden scene, especially seeing demonic energy continuously erupting from my body, everyone was stunned. Especially the instigators of all this, Chu Sheng and Shun Yu. Their hearts were filled with even greater horror. Slandering me as having fallen into the demonic path was something they had planned overnight. But now, I really am a goddamn demonic cultivator. Shun Yu was the first to react, her voice filled with horror. Why will you? You really are a demonic cultivator. Hearing this, a sneer involuntarily formed on my lips. Actually? Really? My dear junior sister, in your heart, aren't I already a demonic cultivator? What do you mean by actually really? Hearing the sarcasm in my words, Shun Yu's face stiffened. I just misspoke in a moment of panic. I gave a chilling laugh. If you can't even speak properly, what good is that tongue? As my words fell, I raised my hand. My fingers joined to form a sword, and I struck with a single slash. The surging sword energy passed through the void, directly severing Shun Yu's tongue. Agonized screams echoed throughout the great hall. Everyone watched the sudden scene with eyes filled with terror. Clearly, none of them had expected that my admitting to being a demonic cultivator was one thing, but I actually dared to attack in front of everyone. Rebellious disciple. It's bad enough that you cultivate the demonic path, but you actually harmed a fellow disciple and injured your own junior sister. Do you really think that just because you've fallen into the demonic path and gained some power, you can do whatever you want? Watch how I, this venerable one, will teach you a lesson. Master Lu Bingxiu angrily rebuked me, then drew her sword and attacked. Lu Bingxiu was at the mid-spirit transformation stage. Although I was only at the early spirit transformation stage, with the augmentation of the devouring heaven demonic art, I wasn't afraid in the slightest. However, I had no intention of clashing with her head-on. After all, with the slander turns true system, I needed slander to grow stronger. So I didn't resist, merely dodging to the side. Master, why are you so impatient? Let's not resort to violence just yet. Hearing my words, Lu Bingxiu let out a cold snort, but stopped her attack. You rebellious disciple. What? Do you intend to beg for mercy now? I shook my head and chuckled softly, offering no reply. Instead, I simply retrieved 2 souls from my system space. Master, you say I was doing perfectly well in the sect, so why would I suddenly expose my identity and harm my fellow disciples? Hearing my words and seeing the 2 familiar souls in my hands, Shun Yu and the other's pupils constricted once more. Under their arrangements, weren't these 2 people supposed to have been sent out of the Tianxin sect already? But now, what in the world was going on? Chu Tianxiong and his wife were also shocked. Before coming, they had personally gone to verify. These 2 people were clearly still alive and well. But now, gazing at my chillingly innocent-looking smile, a shiver of dread involuntarily ran through them. But before they could utter a word, Lu Bingxiu was the first to speak. Chu Chun, how dare you? You actually dared to kill and seize souls. Hearing this, I nodded noncommittally. Master, then tell me, what was the purpose of my killing and seizing souls? Hearing this, the disciples within the hall began to chatter amongst themselves. Wasn't it to seize the supreme treasure, the Tianxian pearl? No, that's not right. Even if he was seizing a treasure, wouldn't simply killing them suffice? Why go through the trouble of capturing their souls? Chu Chun is a demonic cultivator. He must be killing and seizing souls to boost his cultivation. Lu Bingxiu's brow furrowed slightly. Rebellious disciple, have you secretly been cultivating an evil technique, devouring living souls to boost your cultivation? I shook my head. Master, do you truly not know that souls have other uses besides boosting cultivation? Let me give you a hint. There is a type of banner in this world that can absorb souls. After refining them, one can command and dispatch them. Hearing this, Lu Bingxiu seemed to realize something, and instantly cried out in shock and fury. The Myriad Soul Banner. You must have refined the Myriad Soul Banner. That's why you dare to be so arrogant here. Everyone present erupted in an uproar upon hearing Lu Bingxiu's words. The Myriad Soul Banner. That's the most sinister artifact of the demonic path. I can't believe Chu Qian was killing people to refine the Myriad Soul Banner. He's absolutely monstrous. Hearing this, I nodded with an expression of approval. Exactly, that's right. Ding. Host admits to slandering the refining of the 10,000 soul banner. Congratulations, host, for acquiring a 10,000 soul banner. The next instant, a banner, stained entirely with blood and emanating grand mist purple chi, appeared in my hand. Seeing the banner suddenly appear in my hand, and feeling the ultimate evil energy emanating from it, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Especially Lu Bingxiu. She had seen it in ancient texts. To refine a 10,000 soul banner, one must slaughter and refine tens of thousands of people. Feeling the formidable evil energy on it now, this banner must have claimed at least 100,000 lives. Connecting this with the news of disciples occasionally disappearing from the Tianxian sect and its vicinity over the past few years. Wicked disciple, were all the disciples who disappeared from the Tianxian sect over the years killed by you? I nodded, admitting it without hesitation again. Yes, I killed them. Ding. Host admits to killing the missing disciples. The souls of 18,677 deceased disciples are automatically absorbed into the 10,000 soul banner. Exactly, that's right. Ding. Host admits to slandering the refining of the 10,000 soul banner. Congratulations, host, for acquiring a 10,000 soul banner. The next instant, a banner stained entirely with blood and emanating grand mist purple chi appeared in my hand. Seeing the banner suddenly appear in my hand and feeling the ultimate evil energy emanating from it, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Especially Lu Bingxiu. She had seen it in ancient texts. To refine a 10,000 soul banner, one must slaughter and refine tens of thousands of people. Feeling the formidable evil energy on it now, this banner must have claimed at least 100,000 lives. Connecting this with the news of disciples occasionally disappearing from the Tianxian sect and its vicinity over the past few years. Wicked disciple, were all the disciples who disappeared from the Tianxian sect over the years killed by you? I nodded, admitting it without hesitation again. Yes, I killed them. Ding. Host admits to killing the missing disciples. The souls of 18,677 deceased disciples are automatically absorbed into the 10,000 soul banner. Seeing me admit it so readily, all the disciples in the hall were stunned. Chu Chun actually admitted it so simply. Is he not afraid of death? Or is he confident in his own strength? Who knows? But I really didn't expect that the disciples who went missing all these years were actually killed by Chu Chun. Doesn't he usually seem quite benevolent? One knows a person's face, but not their heart. He was so cruel at only 8 years old before. I think he's an undercover agent from the demonic sect, sent to cause chaos and assassinate disciples of our orthodox immortal sect. Hearing the disciples' whispers, especially the last sentence, my eyes lit up. I didn't expect these disciples to be so imaginative. Exactly, Emma. Just as I was about to admit that I was an undercover agent from the demonic sect, the system's voice suddenly resonated. Detected host is an orphan, identity questionable. System automatically searches for blood relatives for you. Ding. Kin search successful. Detected host is the biological child of the heavenly demon sect's sect master, the #1 demonic sect. At this moment, the heavenly demon sect's sect master has arrived to claim kinship. Hearing the sudden system prompt resonate, I was also very shocked. I hadn't expected the system to have such a function. It could actually find my biological parents based on bloodline. What I least expected was that my mother was actually the sect master of the heavenly demon sect. It's no wonder I was so surprised. The heavenly demon sect was the #1 demonic sect, and its leader, Luo Hanjian, achieved Tao through slaughter. In just 100 years, she broke through to the tribulation transcending realm, becoming one of the strongest under heaven. Previously, I had heard many legends about this woman. Unexpectedly, she was actually my mother. But before I could think further, my master, Lu Bingxiu, let out a furious roar. Scoundrel, how could I have taught such a heartless ingrate like you? This venerable one will cleanse the sect today. With that, she again raised her sword and slashed towards me. My gaze sharpened slightly. This time, I did not dodge. I merely gripped the 10,000 souls banner tightly and slowly raised it. Cleanse the sect? You are mistaken. Today, it is this Lord who will cleanse the sect. I scoffed, my divine sense locking onto Lu Bingxiu, then forcefully hurled the banner. The soul banner swept forward with overwhelming force, directly shattering all obstacles, annihilating the sword light, and firmly nailing Lu Bingxiu in the void. The 10,000 souls banner was a demonic weapon, imbued with special rules and the blessing of tens of thousands of souls within it. Lu Bingxiu simply couldn't resist. So, I wasn't surprised in the least by her immediate suppression. But Lu Bingxiu was different. She had never expected that I would possess such power. Traitorous disciple. You. She tried to say something, but I no longer wanted to give her a chance to speak. Master, whatever you have to say, save it for hell. My figure flickered, appearing before her, and I shattered her skull with a single punch. Blood splattered. From the gushing blood, I snatched out her divine soul, revealing an innocent smile. Then, under Lu Bingxiu's disbelieving, pained gaze, I activated the heaven-devouring demonic art. Demonic energy surged, forming a bottomless black hole that sucked her in, then instantly refined her. Feeling the waves of warmth emanating from my limbs and bones after refining Lu Bingxiu, I couldn't help but sigh with emotion. This is demonic cultivation. This is the heaven-devouring demonic art. So satisfying. From Lu Bingxiu's attack to her being counter-killed by me, the entire process unfolded in the blink of an eye, so much so that everyone present didn't have time to react. It was Chu Hongling who was the first to snap back to reality, looking at me with a mix of shock and uncertainty. Your strength? I turned and smiled. What, surprised? Didn't you all say I refined the 10,000 soul banner and devour cultivation? Didn't you say all the disciples who went missing in the past 10 years were killed by me? Then why don't you guess, after killing so many people and devouring so many souls, just what level my strength has reached? Hearing my words, Chu Hongling paused slightly, but quickly spoke. You beast, as far as I know, your strength has only just broken through to the nascent soul realm. I let out another scoff. Fool! Are you saying that I suppressed a soul transformation realm expert with a single blow using nascent soul cultivation? Hearing the sarcasm in my words, Chu Hongling was just about to get angry, but then she realized my words weren't entirely unreasonable. If I were truly at nascent soul, how could I suppress Lu Bingxiu, a soul transformation realm expert, with a single blow? You beast! Could it be that you're at the soul transformation realm? Hearing this, I shook my head with a hint of disdain. My dear sister, you're at least a genius of your generation. How can your perspective be so narrow? I'm a great devil who has slaughtered and refined tens of millions of people. How could I only be at the soul transformation realm? You're really underestimating me. Why don't you guess again? Hearing my words, Chu Hongling's tone became even more uncertain and shocked. You can't possibly be at the tribulation transcension realm, can you? My eyes lit up, and my gaze towards Chu Hongling held a hint of appreciation. A teachable student. Precisely, I am at the tribulation transcension realm. Ding. Host has admitted to being a tribulation transcension demonic cultivator, and cultivation has automatically increased to the tribulation transcension realm. The moment the system's voice rang out, a mysterious power flowed from the void into my body. Almost instantly, my realm broke through from soul transformation to tribulation transcension. The terrifying aura of the tribulation transcension realm was thus unleashed without reservation, pressing down on everyone present, making them unable to lift their heads. Feeling this terrifying aura, Chu Hongling and the others looked as if they had seen a ghost. You're actually really at the tribulation transcension realm. I smiled non-committally. This is all thanks to you, my dear sister. Chu Hongling heard this and was puzzled. Thanks to me? Why? I smiled non-committally. This is all thanks to you, my dear sister. Chu Hongling heard this and was puzzled. Thanks to me? Why? I smiled radiantly. You don't need to know so much. You just need to know that you helped me break through to the tribulation transcending realm. In that case, to thank you for helping me break through this realm, I'll give you a reward. Hearing this, Chu Hongling couldn't help but grow more astonished and wary. A reward? What kind of reward? I glanced at the myriad souls banner humming in the void and smiled knowingly. I'll reward you by making you the main soul of the banner. As my words fell, I flicked my conjoined fingers. The myriad souls banner transformed into a streak of light and shot back. It directly pierced through Chu Hongling's chest. Demonic chi surged on it, instantly devouring her mortal body. The myriad souls within it surfaced, then dragged her spirit into the banner. Hongling, seeing this, Chu Tianxiong and his wife could no longer maintain their composure. They had been observing until now, repeatedly stunned by my actions. I was actually a demonic cultivator and truly possessed the myriad souls banner. What shocked them even more was that I actually had tribulation transcending realm cultivation. All these years, I had clearly been right under their noses. It should have been impossible for me to do any of these things, yet they had happened nonetheless. So their hearts were filled with both horror and confusion. But now, seeing me instantly suppress and kill Liu Bingxiu and immediately about to refine her daughter into the soul banner, they could no longer sit still. "You beast, you're courting death." Without time to think, they roared in fury and each unleashed their divine abilities, moving to suppress me. Chu Tianxiong, as the sect master, and Su Yungzi, as the elder of the disciplinary hall, both possessed mid-stage soul transformation cultivation. This was already considered very powerful. But to me, who had been granted tribulation transcending realm cultivation by the system, they were no different from ants. Sensing the non-threatening aura within their divine abilities, I couldn't help but sneer even more. "The ones seeking death are you." With that said, I punched out. Demonic energy, dense to the extreme, followed the path of my fist, directly shattering their two divine abilities, then, with undiminished force, slammed into their bodies. Bang! Bang! Two muffled, heavy thuds echoed outside the hall. Chu Tianxiong and Su Yungzi were sent flying backwards by the impact, only stopping after breaking over a dozen profound pillars made of azure gold. They lay sprawled on the ground, their vitality weak, their eyes, as they looked at me, filled with terror. Your strength. How could you possibly?" They coughed up blood as they spoke, and among the mouthfuls of fresh blood were many fragments of internal organs. Just now, blinded by rage, they both thought I was still the same person they could manipulate as before, thus forgetting the tribulation transcendence aura I had previously displayed. Now, having been suppressed by a single punch from me, they finally came to their senses. Especially now, seeing the undisguised killing intent in my eyes, Chu Tianxiong and Su Yungzi finally felt fear. Rebellious child, what do you intend to do?" I curled my lips into a smirk, my voice laced with a hint of mockery. "Ha ha ha. Mom and Dad, what do I intend to do? Don't you know?" Su Yungzi's voice trembled. "Chun'er, but we are your parents. Do you really want to kill us? We took you back to the sect and provided you with good food and drink for all these years. Why are you so cruel?" I let out a cold laugh. "What? Then why did you make me take the blame for Chu Shang's slanders before? It clearly wasn't my doing. I even presented evidence. But what about you? In order to protect Chu Shang's reputation, you actually forced me to confess. Why was that again? What? Is an adopted son not a son? Out of consideration for your kindness in raising me, I accepted it. But what about you? You still allowed Chu Shang to slander me again and again." Hearing this, Su Yungzi refuted with a trembling voice. "No, it's not like that. These are all misunderstandings." Upon hearing this, the sarcasm in my eyes intensified. "Misunderstanding? Leaving aside earlier matters, just focusing on today's incident. Are you genuinely unaware? You slandered me as a demonic cultivator, accused me of harming fellow disciples, and stealing the sky profound pearl. We spent 10 years together. Don't you still know what kind of person I am? Of course you do, but you still chose to believe Xinyu. Or perhaps you don't believe Xinyu herself, but are biased towards Chu Shang, who stands behind her. As a sect master and hall elders, you must be able to see through such blatant slander. Yet you made me prove my innocence, made me confess, all just for the reputation of your own son. But what about me? Although I've eaten your food and used your resources all these years, haven't I been good enough to you?" As I said this, I couldn't help but recall the past 10 years. I cared for them, washed clothes, cooked meals, providing them with immense emotional support. I respected my teachers, revered the Tao, and cultivated diligently, bringing them much prestige. I braved dangers, ventured into secret realms, bringing back countless rare treasures and natural wonders for them. I even used mythological cultivation stories from before my transmigration, compiled picture books, and sold them to earn spirit stones, adding a considerable revenue stream for the Heavenly Profound sect. It can be said that I no longer owed anything to the Heavenly Profound sect. But now, for the sake of a so-called biological son, they disregarded 10 years of nurturing grace, allowing him to falsely accuse me. I truly felt utterly disheartened, hearing the grievance in my words, and thinking of what had happened these past few days. Su Yungzi's face was filled with guilt. I'm sorry, Chen'er, mother was wrong. Chu Tianxiong, hearing this, also showed a fleeting trace of guilt, but as a sect master, accustomed to his high position, it was impossible for him to admit fault. Rebellious child. That's right, at first, we truly didn't think you did all this. But now, looking at the facts, is what Xinyu said wrong? You fell into the demonic path, harmed fellow disciples, and even refined the forbidden artifact, the 10,000 Souls banner. Do we truly wrong you? Hearing this, my tone turned mocking. You actually still believe I did it, even now. Chu Tianxiong snorted coldly. Isn't it? Su Yungzi, however, asked with some doubt. Chen'er, I feel that these things weren't done by you, but the facts show that you indeed did them. What? What on earth is going on here? I smiled, paused for a moment, then decided to explain. My explanation, of course, wasn't to prove my innocence. It was to strike at their very hearts. All of this, you're right. I genuinely didn't do it. You yourselves know very well that these are all groundless slanders fabricated by your son. But what you don't know is that I am actually this world's child of destiny. I was born with a very special ability, slander made real. As long as someone slanders me, regardless of the content, if I proactively admit it, then everything they say will come true. So, do you understand now? My voice held a playful edge. Naturally, I wasn't the child of destiny. The matter of a system was simply too outrageous to reveal. So I opted for an explanation that this world could accept. Sure enough, Chu Tianxiong and his wife were both aghast upon hearing this, exchanging glances. A child of destiny was the protagonist of an era, blessed with immense luck and protected by heaven's mandate. They were born with certain special abilities. So, hearing me say this and connecting it to what had recently happened to me, they ultimately chose to believe. Although my words were incredibly outrageous, a child of destiny, slander made real, it was clearly the best explanation for what had just transpired. Otherwise, how could they explain my tribulation transcending cultivation, my myriad soul banner? Where did they come from? At this moment, Chu Tianxiong and his wife's faces were filled with remorse. A child of destiny was the protagonist of an entire world. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, I was destined to soar to unprecedented heights in the future. I might even lead the entire Heavenly Profound sect to transcend tribulation and achieve immortality. Yet now they had offended me. I hadn't deliberately lowered my voice. Consequently, the countless disciples in the hall who had just condemned me with their words were all stunned. All of this, I was actually truly framed. Shame filled their eyes, and a pallor involuntarily appeared on their faces. Upon hearing this, Chu Sheng and Shun Yu's faces drained of all color, especially Shun Yu. She hadn't expected that a casual slander from her would have caused such a profound change in me. Just now, I had unhesitatingly devoured and annihilated my own master and elder sister. If I were to turn my attention to her, she would probably. Shun Yu shivered uncontrollably in fear. Sure, this is all a misunderstanding. Perhaps your junior sister Shun Yu made a mistake. Since these things weren't done by you, then it's fine once we've cleared it up. How about we just have her apologize to you, and then let this matter be over? It was at this moment that Su Yungzi, knowing my formidable power, spoke up, wanting to gloss over the entire affair. Hearing this, Xinyu nodded repeatedly, terrified that her slow reaction would lead her to follow in the footsteps of Lu Bingxiu and the others. Su Yongzi, even now, you're still considering Chu Sheng's reputation. Hearing Su Yongzi's words and seeing their actions, my heart couldn't help but feel even more disappointed. All of this, indeed, began because Shun Yu slandered me. But who the real mastermind behind this was, a few of us present knew perfectly well. Yet Su Yongzi still refused to mention it, clearly wanting to save face for her own son. To simply push out Shun Yu and think she could just lightly gloss over it. That was truly too ridiculous. Clearly, Su Yongzi also caught the hidden meaning in my words. Knowing that this matter couldn't be resolved today, without Chu Sheng stepping forward, she paused, then turned her head and spoke to him. Shenger, you are in the wrong here. Quickly apologize to your brother. Chu Sheng's expression stiffened at her words. For the past 2 months, he had grown accustomed to being imperious and condescending. Now, to actually be told to apologize to me, he was extremely reluctant. But after all, it was Su Yongzi's command, so he could only comply, though his attitude was very perfunctory. Sorry, brother, I was wrong. I shouldn't have slandered you, all right? Hearing the reluctance in Chu Sheng's words, I didn't get angry. I merely let out a cold laugh. Chu Sheng, you slandered me. It doesn't matter, I've accepted it. But I hope when this venerable one annihilates your entire clan, you won't cry. My words were like a demonic whisper, or the king of hell demanding a life. Terrified, Chu Sheng and all members of the Chu family in the heavenly profound sect collapsed to the ground, cold sweat beating on their foreheads. Hearing the undisguised, killing intent in my words, Chu Tianxiong grew anxious. Chu Chun, what exactly do you want? Didn't your mother say before? An apology, and this matter would be put to rest. Shenger has already apologized to you. Must you be so unforgiving even when you're in the right? At his words, I found it only amusing. I slapped out, hitting Chu Tianxiong across the face. Put to rest? You only think of putting it to rest because you can't defeat me. I've already killed your daughter, and you still want to put it to rest? How can you be so hypocritical? Our two sides are already irreconcilable. I bet you're secretly plotting how to kill me. And you want to just put it to rest with me, you idiot? I backhanded him again, striking his other cheek. And as for unforgiving even when in the right, I am precisely that. So what? If you're not convinced, stand up and hit me. Hit me. Hit me. With every word I spoke, I delivered a slap, the force in my hand increasing. With the last word, I used my full strength, and with one palm, I directly sent Chu Tingsang's head flying. Everyone stared blankly at the scene, seemingly not having expected my combat power to be so explosive, both my true strength and my verbal prowess. A deity transformation expert can conceal their spirit within their vital points. Such an injury was not fatal to Chu Tianxiong. Thus, my figure flickered, wanting to deliver another palm strike to crush his head and the divine soul within it. But Su Yongzi hastily spread her arms, blocking my path. Chinner, don't persist in your delusion. I know your strength is great. You possess tribulation transcending cultivation. But this is, after all, the heavenly profound sect's main base. Furthermore, I just secretly crushed the ancestor's jade pendant. I advise you not to bring ruin upon yourself. Quickly bind your cultivation, or when the ancestor awakens, it will all be too late. Hearing the threat in Su Yongzi's words, I merely gave a cold laugh, not halting my actions in the slightest. What are you babbling about? Since you wish to die first, this Lord shall grant your wish. With those words, I directly raised my hand, bringing a palm down with crushing force. The sky-shrouding handprint formed by demonic energy was about to crush her directly. Su Yongzi's eyes were filled with terror. She hadn't expected her threat to be completely useless. Asterisk, was he actually going to kill her? Did he truly have the heart to kill her? Asterisk, the threat of death was drawing near. Just at this critical juncture, a loud shout echoed. Demon brat, how dare you harm someone in front of this ancestor? Then, an old Daoist master of a mortal bearing appeared, shrinking the ground into an inch to arrive before Su Yongzi blocking the fatal blow for her. Old ancestor, it's the old ancestor. This is great, we're saved. Seeing the suddenly appearing elder, countless disciples cheered excitedly. Su Yongzi and Chu Tianxian were also pleasantly surprised. This was because this Tianxian old ancestor had lived for nearly 1,000 years and was a genuine mid-tribulation stage powerhouse. With him taking action, they surely believed I could be easily suppressed. Old ancestor, this beast has fallen into the demonic path, harmed fellow disciples, and now even declares he will slaughter our entire Tianxian clan. We implore old ancestor to take action and eradicate this fiend. Hearing this, the other disciples also chimed in, echoing their sentiments. Please, old ancestor, take action. Please, old ancestor, take action. Hearing this, Tianxian old ancestor turned his head, looking at me with hostile eyes. You beast! How dare you run wild on my Tianxian sex territory, seeking? His voice came to an abrupt halt, because I'd already raised my banner and thrust it out. Old geezer, what are you blabbering about? If you want to fight, then fight. In a flash, it was about to pierce through the Tianxian old ancestor's glabella. But Patriarch Tingsuan's reaction was extremely swift. He slightly turned his body, dodging the locked-on blow, but a streak of blood was still left on his cheek. Perhaps it was because I attacked before he could finish speaking, or perhaps because my proactive strike made him feel his authority was challenged. Patriarch Tianxian was furious beyond measure. He unleashed supreme divine abilities and charged at me, intending to suppress and kill me. In response, I met him without the slightest fear. Although Patriarch Tianxian was one minor realm higher than me, I had the 10,000 Souls Banners enhancement, and we fought back and forth. If we continued to wear each other down like this, it was truly uncertain who would win or lose. However, this patriarch disregarded martial ethics. He directly summoned the Tianxian sect disciples to form a battle array and besiege me. I was already fighting across realms, and now, under the suppression of the formation, I gradually showed signs of fatigue. Seeing my aura growing weaker, Patriarch Tianxian sneered. Kid, what if you're strong? This is my Tianxian sect's territory. Don't say I disregard martial ethics. The cultivation world is inherently like this. The strong prey on the weak. When you're out here in the world, you rely on your background. Who told you not to have one? Patriarch Tianxian attacked me while verbally taunting me. Finally, he found an opening in my defenses, and his face lit up with joy. Kid, stop struggling. Go to hell. With that, he clenched his fist and struck at me. Just as this punch was about to land on my body from beyond the heavens, another mighty shout resounded. Who dares to harm this venerable one's child? You're courting death. A terrifying late-stage tribulation transcendence aura swept across the entire scene. Then, a woman in a red dress traversed the void and appeared. With a casual palm strike, she annihilated the incoming fist attack. Then, her momentum unabated, she directly slammed Patriarch Tianxian from the sky down into the earth. Everyone was stunned by this sudden reversal, their eyes fixed on the woman in the red dress. The woman didn't linger, nor did she even spare a glance for Patriarch Tianxian. She simply walked straight towards me. She stopped in front of me and carefully examined me. Then, amidst the disbelieving gazes of the crowd, she pulled me into her embrace. Chunner, you are my Chunner. Feeling a sense of familiar origin radiating from the woman, I too snapped out of my daze. Recalling the system's previous words, I tried to speak and ask, are you my mother? The woman in red reached out and caressed my face, her voice gentle, nodding emphatically. That's right, Chunner. I am your mother, Luo Hanjian. When you were little, due to a moment of carelessness from your father, you were abducted by our enemies. All these years, I never gave up searching for you, but I scoured the entire demonic realm and couldn't find you. However, not long ago, I suddenly felt a stirring deep within my bloodline, and thinking it might be you, I came looking. I didn't expect. Mother actually found you. Child, you've suffered. Luo Hongjian's voice trembled, clearly filled with genuine sincerity. Feeling the self-reproach and guilt in Luo Hongjian's tone, I shook my head. Mother, it's all right. I'm doing perfectly fine, aren't I? At this, Luo Hongjian suddenly looked up, remembering Patriarch Tianxian who had just tried to suppress and kill me. A shadow instantly fell over her eyes. Chen'er, what exactly happened here? Did they bully you? Hearing this, I actually didn't want to say much. But perhaps it was the original owner's emotions at play. I couldn't help but feel a sense of dependence on Luo Hongjian. Immediately, I proactively recounted everything that had happened since Chu Sheng returned to the sect, down to the smallest detail. This included Chu Sheng's slanders against me, my parents' and sisters' favoritism, and the betrayal of my junior sister and fellow disciples. Soon, Luo Hongjian understood exactly what had transpired. Her gaze swept coldly over the people in the great hall, her eyes filled with fury. She hadn't expected the son she had been yearning for all these years to have suffered such unfair treatment. But thankfully, I had my own means and strength. While I could handle things on my own, she also wanted to personally shield me from harm. Chen'er, do you need Mother to help you deal with these people? Hearing the doting affection in Luo Hongjian's words, I nodded and pointed to Patriarch Tianxian, who was suppressed beneath the ground. Mother, that old geezer just said that to get by in this world, you need connections, and he mocked me for having none, threatening to kill me. Your child is so scared. Sniffle. Before I could finish speaking, Luo Hongjian had already unleashed her divine power to suppress him. Dare to harm my son, you seek death. The aura of a late-stage tribulation transcender struck fear into people's hearts. Moreover, Ancestor Tianxian was already injured, so he was simply no match for Luo Hongjian. After a brief struggle, just as Ancestor Tianxian was about to be suppressed, he suddenly remembered something and roared at Chu Tianxiong and his wife. Quickly offer up the sect's supreme treasure and awaken the sect-protecting Grand Formation. Su Yungzi reacted quickly upon hearing this, employing a summoning ability to try and summon the Tianxian Pearl. But she found there was no reaction at all. Her divine sense swept across the hall, and she suddenly discovered that the box which had originally held the Tianxian Pearl was empty. Just as she was pondering why the Tianxian Pearl had vanished, she suddenly seemed to realize something and looked at me with a mortified expression. Seeing Su Yungzi's delayed reaction and realizing he was rapidly losing his strength, Ancestor Tianxian couldn't help but roar in fury. Su Yungzi, what the hell are you doing? Where's the Tianxian Pearl? Hearing this, I smiled and took out a sky blue pearl from my system space. Are you referring to this one? Seeing the pearl in my hand, Ancestor Tianxian instantly realized that Su Yungzi and the others had lost the Tianxian Pearl. At this moment, he was so utterly mortified and aggrieved that he felt like spitting blood. Without the sect-protecting Grand Formation, he was simply no match for Luo Hongjian. He was quickly suppressed on the spot. Ancestor Tianxian stared fixedly at me. His crimson gaze darted continuously between me and Luo Hongjian. Finally, it settled on Su Yungzi, who had called him forth. At this moment, he wished he could exterminate Su Yungzi's entire lineage, 18 generations back. Damn it, they didn't even tell him I had a late-stage tribulation transcending birth mother. What's the point of fighting this? As if that wasn't bad enough, Su Yungzi and her cohort couldn't even protect a single Tianxian Pearl. To fail him at the most critical moment, they were utterly useless. But before he could curse out loud, I had already arrived in front of him. My foot on his head, I looked down at him condescendingly. Old geezer, you're absolutely right. When you're out in the world, what you rely on is your background. Unfortunately, your background isn't as solid as mine. I didn't give him a chance to speak. Instead, meeting his humiliated gaze, I lifted my foot and stomped down hard. Bang! Crimson watermelon juice splattered across the ground. Patriarch Tianxian truly lived up to his name as a being who had lived for thousands of years. Even at this point, he still hadn't given up on escaping. His divine soul split, fleeing in all directions. But such a method was undoubtedly laughable before my 10,000 soul banner. With a slight thought, tens of thousands of souls from the banner surged out, chasing after the fleeing souls. In less than half an incense stick's time, I captured all of Patriarch Tingsuan's split souls and dragged them into the 10,000 soul banner to be refined. And during this half incense stick's time, with Mother Luo Hanjian protecting me, I also successfully refined and devoured Patriarch Tingsuan's physical body. Feeling the terrifying energy contained within my limbs and bones, I let out a heavy breath, marveling inwardly. As expected of a demonic cultivator, with the system's help, I had just broken through to the early stage of the Tribulation Transcension realm. Now, having devoured and refined an old monster from the mid-stage of the Tribulation Transcension realm, the shackles within my body actually showed faint signs of loosening. How could one not be deeply moved by this? Having finished all this, I turned my gaze back to Chu Sung. At this moment, the smugness in his eyes had long vanished. In its place was an endless terror directed at me. "Brother, you—" His voice trembled, sounding very scared. In response, I just smiled, walking toward him step by step. My steps were slow, but each step felt like it was treading on his heart, intensely oppressive. Finally, when I stood before Chu Sung, he could no longer bear it. He instantly fell to his knees, weeping bitterly. "Brother, I was wrong. I shouldn't have let jealousy get the better of me and slandered you. I truly know I was wrong." I shook my head, then reached out to wipe the tears from the corners of his eyes, my voice kind. "My dear brother, I told you it's all right. You slandered me. It doesn't matter. I'll take it. But when I exterminate your entire clan, I hope you watch closely and don't cry. Otherwise, your brother will feel heartbroken." Chushin's head snapped up at these words, his gaze like he was looking at a demon. He tried to say something more, but I didn't give him another chance. I picked him up like a small chick and walked back, step by step, to where Shushing Sighing and his wife stood. Feeling the undisguised killing intent in my eyes, Chu Tianxiong and his wife plunged into an icy abyss. "Chin'er, what exactly do you want? Do you truly mean to kill me? I am your father. You just betrayed your master and shamed your ancestors. And now you want to murder your father and mother too? Such a heinous, unfilial act, don't you? Don't you fear the condemnation of the world?" Hearing this, I couldn't help but sneer. "Old geezer. What? Now you remember you're my dad. Why didn't you remember when Chu Sheng slandered me? Why didn't you remember when you made me take the blame for Chu Sheng? Betraying master and shaming ancestors. Murdering father and mother? I am a demonic cultivator. Are you certain these aren't compliments to this lord? Besides, what kind of parents are you, damn it? You're not even biological." Luo Hanjian also spoke up at the opportune moment. "That's right, at most, you are merely Chin'er's adoptive parents. So killing you is fine. As for the world's condemnation, who dares to criticize? Just kill them then. If the world dares to condemn, then this venerable will slaughter everyone under heaven." Hearing the casual words from me and Luo Hanjian, Chu Tianxiong and his wife were so enraged that they both spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. But despite their fury, neither of them wanted to die. So Su Yungzi quickly and humbly spoke, pleading for forgiveness. "Chin'er, what happened before was our fault. We shouldn't have let Chu Shang slander you, and we shouldn't have disregarded your feelings. We were wrong. We don't hope you can forgive us immediately, but we hope you can give us a chance to make amends, to let us stay with you forever and make up for it." Hearing this, the corner of my lips curved slightly. "Stay with me forever? Make up for it?" Su Yungzi nodded repeatedly. "Yes." Hearing this, my smile widened even further. "All right." Hearing this, surprise burst forth in Su Yungzi's eyes. But the next moment, her smile vanished, because my human emperor banner had already pierced through her chest. WHY. She looked down at the banner piercing through her chest. She looked up again at my smiling face. Finally, with a difficult tone, she uttered 3 words. I gave a brilliant smile. "Mother, If you enter my soul banner and become my soul slave, won't you be able to stay with me forever? As for compensation, there's no need for such trouble. I think your physical body is quite good. With those words spoken, I disregarded her reaction. I immediately unleashed the heaven-devouring demonic art and refined her body and soul. Soon, a soul radiating black mist emerged, then respectfully stood by my side. Beside her were Chu Hongling, Lu Bingxiu, Patriarch Tianxian, and others. You're simply a beast, an ungrateful wretch. Witnessing me personally slay my own mother and seeing the soul surrounding me, Chu Tianxiong could no longer restrain himself and roared at me in fury. At this, I merely gave a faint smile. Thank you for the compliment. As I finished speaking, the imperial banner in my hand shot forth, its pole impaling and bursting Chu Tingxiang's head, which I had previously knocked off. Demonic chi surged, enveloping his spirit and devouring it completely. Everyone present was shocked by my ruthlessness. Feeling my scrutinizing gaze, the disciples in the hall all knelt down with a thud. Young Master Chu Chun, we were wrong. We truly know we were wrong. Can you spare us? I chuckled softly, shook my head, and then with a single palm strike, flattened the person who had just spoken into a bloody pulp. She looked up again at my smiling face. Finally, with a difficult tone, she uttered 3 words. I gave a brilliant smile. Mother, if you enter my soul banner and become my soul slave, won't you be able to stay with me forever? As for compensation, there's no need for such trouble. I think your physical body is quite good. With those words spoken, I disregarded her reaction. I immediately unleashed the heaven-devouring demonic art and refined her body and soul. Soon, a soul radiating black mist emerged, then respectfully stood by my side. Beside her were Chu Hongling, Lu Bingxiu, Patriarch Tianxian, and others. You're simply a beast, an ungrateful wretch. Witnessing me personally slay my own mother and seeing the soul surrounding me, Chu Tianxiong could no longer restrain himself and roared at me in fury. At this, I merely gave a faint smile. Thank you for the compliment. As I finished speaking, the imperial banner in my hand shot forth, its pole impaling and bursting Chu Tingxiang's head, which I had previously knocked off. Demonic chi surged, enveloping his spirit and devouring it completely. Everyone present was shocked by my ruthlessness. Feeling my scrutinizing gaze, the disciples in the hall all knelt down with a thud. Young Master Chu Chun, we were wrong. We truly know we were wrong. Can you spare us? I chuckled softly, shook my head, and then with a single palm strike, flattened the person who had just spoken into a bloody pulp. I cultivate the demonic path. I don't let off the hook upon letting horses go. Seeing my actions, Luo Hanjian also understood my attitude, and with a doting tone, uttered a single word. Kill. The demonic cultivator army, who had been waiting on the sidelines with covetous eyes, were already ravenous, and upon hearing the command, they all drew their swords and charged into the battlefield. The demonic cultivator army was generally stronger than these Tianxian sect disciples to begin with. Coupled with the fall of patriarchs and other high-ranking members, these disciples had no will to fight. Therefore, they were no match for the demonic cultivator army, and the battle quickly became a one-sided affair. The Tianxian sect members, from top to bottom, fell one by one like reaped wheat. The entire Tianxian sect devolved into an azure field. Everywhere were mountains of corpses, broken limbs, and rivers of blood. I looked at Chu Sheng in my hand with a mocking expression. At this moment, his face was a mix of regret and pain, his eyes filled with terror and bewilderment. He hadn't expected that just a few slanders would actually lead to the annihilation of the entire Tianxian sect. He could have lived out this life gloriously as the true young master of the Tianxian sect. Now, it's all over. At this moment, Chu Sheng's eyes were filled with pain, regretting his past actions. Feeling my terrifying gaze, he couldn't hold it in, and warm, yellow liquid flowed out from beneath him. Seeing this, a wave of disgust washed over me. As for this Chu Sheng, I merely wanted to toy with him. Now with this reaction from him, I've lost the interest to play. Therefore, I slowly raised my hand. Then, under his terrified gaze, divine light accumulated at my fingertip, and the beam swept through everything like a destructive force. It directly pierced his skull, leaving a not too big, not too small deep pit at his glabella. This one finger of mine not only pierced his sea of consciousness, but also his divine soul. Therefore, Chu Sheng fell straight down, unwillingly, letting out a dull thud. I disdainfully glanced at him, then casually flicked a ball of demonic flame from my fingertip, incinerating him completely. I did not choose to refine him, because I found him disgusting. After all this was done, I once again turned my gaze to the battlefield, just as I intended to properly enjoy this one-sided slaughter. Suddenly, my divine sense fixated on a certain spot. At that spot, a graceful figure was concealing her aura, sneaking around, clearly intending to escape. The corners of my mouth curled up slightly, and I stomped my foot, shattering the void, appearing before that figure. My dear junior sister, where do you think you're going? At this moment, his face was a mix of regret and pain, his eyes filled with terror and bewilderment. He hadn't expected that just a few slanders would actually lead to the annihilation of the entire Tianxian sect. He could have lived out this life gloriously as the true young master of the Tianxian sect. Now, it's all over. At this moment, Chu Sheng's eyes were filled with pain, regretting his past actions. Feeling my terrifying gaze, he couldn't hold it in, and warm, yellow liquid flowed out from beneath him. Seeing this, a wave of disgust washed over me. As for this Chu Sheng, I merely wanted to toy with him. Now with this reaction from him, I've lost the interest to play. Therefore, I slowly raised my hand. Then, under his terrified gaze, divine light accumulated at my fingertip, and the beam swept through everything like a destructive force. It directly pierced his skull, leaving a not too big, not too small deep pit at his glabella. This one finger of mine not only pierced his sea of consciousness, but also his divine soul. Therefore, Chu Sheng fell straight down, unwillingly, letting out a dull thud. I disdainfully glanced at him, then casually flicked a ball of demonic flame from my fingertip, incinerating him completely. I did not choose to refine him, because I found him disgusting. After all this was done, I once again turned my gaze to the battlefield, just as I intended to properly enjoy this one-sided slaughter. Suddenly, my divine sense fixated on a certain spot. At that spot, a graceful figure was concealing her aura, sneaking around, clearly intending to escape. The corners of my mouth curled up slightly, and I stomped my foot, shattering the void, appearing before that figure. My dear junior sister, where do you think you're going? Shun Yu's body trembled at the sound, and she stiffly turned her head, then plopped down onto the ground, kneeling. Her tongue had actually successfully recovered after taking the divine pill, though her speech was a bit slurred. Senior brother, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I shouldn't have slandered you. But all this, it wasn't my intention, all this. This was Chu Sheng forcing me to do it. He told me that if I didn't do as he said, he would make it impossible for me to stay in the Tianxian sect. I really had no choice, Weevu. Shen Yu sobbed, narrating her plight with tears streaming down her face, but I only felt a cold disappointment. Even at this moment, she was still lying, not even having the courage to admit it. I really didn't know how, all these years, I had raised such a cruel and ungrateful wretch. Seeing my gaze grow increasingly chilling, Shen Yu pleaded for mercy once more. Senior brother, I was wrong. Can you, for the sake of our many years of friendship, for the sake of me not having caused you any substantial harm, can you give me one more chance? Her voice abruptly cut off, because I had already struck out with a palm, directly shattering Shun Yu's skull. You talk too much, junior sister. Whatever you have to say, you can say it once you're inside my myriad souls banner. With those words, I raised the banner and absorbed Shun Yu's soul into it as well. After dealing with Shun Yu, the entire massacre was drawing to a close. As for the corpses of my fellow disciples strewn across the ground, I didn't waste them either. I self-indulgently activated the heaven-devouring demonic art, refining all the severed limbs and broken bodies. My cultivation realm was already unstable. Now, with the entire sky profound sect serving as my grand vital essence medicine, my realm naturally and smoothly broke through to the mid-tribulation stage. Feeling my frenzied actions of refining the corpses, sensing the terrifying might emanating from my body, everyone couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Truly worthy of being the demon lord's son. Luo Hanjian's gaze towards me at this moment was undoubtedly even more filled with pleasant surprise. She hadn't expected me to have already broken through to the mid-tribulation stage at such a young age. I was almost in existence on par with her. She came to my side and dotingly pinched my cheek. I didn't expect my little chunner to be so powerful. Surprisingly, I didn't feel much resistance in my heart towards this sudden, inappropriate action from my cheap mother. For some reason, I even felt a little joyous. Could this be the intimacy of a shared bloodline? I softly hummed in response. Then, while the demonic army was clearing the battlefield, I also began to chat with this cheap mother. We each recounted the events of the past years. When our emotions ran high, we embraced tightly. But just as we were conversing, suddenly, a splendidly dressed youth came before us, pointing at me with an unfriendly tone and asking, "Mother, who is he?" Luo Hanjian ignored her, simply explaining to me on her own. "Chun'er, his name is Luo Chun. He is the adopted son your father took him back then." Hearing this, I frowned slightly. I had just gone through one true and false young master storyline, and now I was getting another? Seeing Luo Hanjian's attitude, Luo Chun instantly understood my identity. He immediately reined in his hostile tone, greeting me with a humble attitude, just like I did when facing Chu Sheng back then. I didn't answer, merely signaling to my nominal mother with my gaze. After receiving her affirmative reply, I formed a sword with my fingers and, amidst Luo Chen's fearful and stunned gaze, directly severed his head with a single strike. This Luo Chen, just like my past self, might truly have been too sincere. But people change. I particularly dislike trouble. Rather than fighting back and forth later, it's simpler to just cut him down now. How does that saying go? The youth who slays demons will eventually become a demon. Of course, this action of mine was also to test the attitude of this nominal mother and the demon army. If they showed any favoritism towards this fake young master, I would leave without hesitation. But now, the nominal mother didn't even blink an eye. The demon army was somewhat shocked, but none of them were angry. Instead, there was a hint of surprise. It seems this Luo Chan was accustomed to throwing his weight around and acting high and mighty in his daily life. Thus he was unpopular. Clearly, they chose me without hesitation. I was very happy. Therefore, I asked with a hint of concern, "Mother, didn't you say Luo Chan was father's adopted child? If I killed him like this, there won't be any problems with father, right?" Hearing this, Luo Hanjian's red lips curved into a smile. "Chun'er, no need to worry." I nodded, then continued to ask, "Mother, what about father, where is he?" Hearing my question, Luo Hanjian's expression stiffened. There was a hint of hesitation in her tone. "Chun'er, are you sure you want to see him?" My cheap mother's reaction filled me with great doubt, but I suppressed the curiosity in my heart and nodded. Seeing that I wanted to, Luo Hanjian reached out her hand. With a slight thought, the next moment, a blood-stained demonic banner appeared in her fair, slender hand. The moment I saw this banner, my pupils suddenly constricted, because this banner was, shockingly, the myriad soul banner, and the evil energy contained within it far surpassed that bestowed by the system, by no small margin. Before I could be too surprised, demonic energy surged wildly from the myriad soul banner. Soon, the soul of a handsome, heavenly demon with devil horns on his head appeared before my eyes. Beside him, there was also the soul of an enchanting succubus. My gaze held confusion. Luo Hanjian pointed at the male soul, explaining to me with a smile. He is your father, Luo Qinyang. At this, my eyes grew even more confused. Mother this. Luo Hanjian paused, then spoke. Back then, we truly loved each other and gave birth to you. But due to an accident, he lost you. At first, I thought it was truly an accident. But later investigations revealed that the culprit behind all this was his childhood sweetheart. My cheap mother then pointed at the succubus soul. She adored your father, resented me, and therefore took her anger out on you. Later, your father knew she was the culprit, but chose not to tell me, instead intending to cover for her. And afterwards, to prevent me from being too heartbroken, he brought back a child from outside who was similar to you in build and age, intending to pass him off as a replacement. I was very confused at the time. Even if their own child was lost, couldn't they just have another one? Why adopt a new one? So I tested the bloodline of that child and your father. The result was just as I had expected. Luo Chun was your father's biological child. At that moment, I was truly heartbroken, my mind a tangled mess. So ultimately, Mother killed the two of them, seized your father's position as sect master, and then refined them into soul servants within a banner. You wouldn't blame Mother, would you? Hearing that my mother actually had such a melodramatic past, I couldn't have been more shocked. Of course, I already felt nothing for my biological father, and this fact only made me feel deeply repulsed. So naturally, I wouldn't blame a victim. On the contrary, I couldn't help but feel a little heartache for her. Mother, being betrayed by your other half must be very painful, right? Hearing my words, Luo Hanjian's eyes, which were always as still as an ancient well, reddened slightly. Then she pulled me tightly into her embrace. We then exchanged comforting words for a while. After an unknown period, the demon army had also finished cleaning up the battlefield, and so I returned to the heavenly demonic sect with my mother. However, upon returning to the heavenly demonic sect, Mother was eager to pass the position of sect master to me. I refused, because I didn't particularly like such a life. Now that I was a tribulation-transcending grand cultivator, economically, oh no, power-wise I was free. Naturally, I wanted to properly experience this world. After Mother knew my thoughts, she didn't insist, because she had already wronged me. How could she force me to do something I didn't like again? She ultimately voluntarily resigned from the position of heavenly demonic sect master. And then she joined me in experiencing this world together.